Everyone. Welcome everybody to the 9th mystery chocolate tasting. I'm very excited to have you all here, especially to have the wonderful Jemma Wilson. If you're not following her on Instagram already, you should be. She's at Cupcake Jemma and at Mini Cupcake Diaries, which is the wonderful chronicles of little baby Eden.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you're sleeping now.
Yeah, she's flat out, flat on her face.
Well done. Mine is listening to a story upstairs, hopefully sleeping soon. So I'm so excited to share this month's chocolate with you. Can I see a wave of hands? You can either wave your actual hands or use the hand emoji if this is your first time joining us. Ooh, I'm going to scroll through, we'll see. Oh, about half of you. That's so cool. Well, welcome everybody, all you first timers. I'm very excited that you're here. And also welcome to everybody who keeps coming back. That makes me especially happy. Hopefully all of you who are here for the first time will come back as well. So because at least half of you are new, I'm going to just talk you through briefly what's going to happen and what you might need for tonight's session. Today for some of you, because some of you are much earlier in the day than I am. And then we will get started on the tasting. After we finish the tastings, which I will get through all 6 chocolates with you before 8:30, then we will hopefully have the time to listen to Gemma's answers to the questions that I'm going to ask her. But if you've got questions, then please you put them into the chat. So if everybody can stay on mute at least until we finish the chocolate tastings, although if you'd like to come off mute then to ask questions, you are more than welcome to. And we do also have some of the chocolatiers who made the chocolates tonight on the call, so thought I'd better let you know that up front. You could bear that in mind when you put your feedback into the chat. Please do use the chat. It's really fun if everybody gets involved in sharing their thoughts and seeing if you can guess. It is challenging to guess the chocolate, so do not worry if you just be as crazy with your guesses as you want to be. There is no shame here. The important thing to know is that you have your tasting sheet here. You don't have to write notes. I'll just tell you a little bit about what you might like to write. So these factors on the sides, appearance, aroma, taste, melt and finish, are some of the categories that we consider judging for the International Chocolate Awards and the Academy of Chocolate Awards, which I'm a judge for both. And you can write nothing. You can just write whatever comes off the top of your head. What I would suggest is if you can give it some kind of score on the side, just for your own reference, I think it's really helpful to decide. You can go back and change them afterwards. And if you're not sharing the chocolates, or even if you are, I would encourage you to try and just have half of them while I talk through them. It was very difficult to choose a correct order for the chocolates, and it's amazing how they taste different when you try them in a different order. So if you can not finish them, then you'll be able to go back and experience them again. You can do it straight after we talk, but that's totally fine. I won't make you save them till tomorrow or any longer than now. But if you can wait, I would recommend it, because I found that they taste, I've tried them now twice, just in small quarters, and they do taste different in different orders. So I would encourage you to do that. The other thing that's on your tasting sheet at the top is a code. So it doesn't work yet, but it will work by tomorrow. If you'd like to come on the March tasting or on one of the other ones that I'll be running during the year, then it will give you £5 off. Then also you have the cookie recipe, which I expect you all to go and make immediately after this. This is Gemma's amazing cookie. I have had one of these from Crumbs and Doilies just after they launched, which was right before lockdown last year, the first one. So a year ago, and it was amazing. So make them and then post them to me. Yeah, that would be great. I'm sure they'll travel well, because you can actually just order them online.
Indeed you can.
Yes, ready-made or to bake, right?
That's right. You can order them to bake at home, or you can get us to do it and we'll send them to you. Yeah,
I like that, getting you to do it. I'm really keen for all of you to bake for me as well. That's totally very welcome. Then the last thing that you might want to use during the tasting today is this tasting wheel, which was designed for plain chocolate bars. And so the way you would use it for a plain chocolate bar is to start at the center and figure out if you can determine any of the broad categories that you're tasting in chocolate, and then gradually work your way out towards the outside. And you can have multiple different categories within one chocolate. For today's tasting, this may be helpful because some of the ingredients that are in your chocolates will be potentially around the outside. So there are more than 400 flavors naturally in chocolate, more than coffee and more than wine, which does mean that when you are tasting chocolate, as those of you who've been on these tastings before, it makes it even harder to tell what the filling is, because sometimes the flavor that you're picking up on is actually coming from the chocolate rather than from the ingredients added to the filled chocolate. Okay, are we ready? Yeah. What I'd love to see is if you like the chocolates, you can show your love through obviously through the chat, but also through the emojis. There's lots of ones that you can express yourself with, or jump up and down in your seat. That's also cool. Okay, right. The first chocolate that we were going to taste, I'm going to share my screen so that you can make sure that everybody gets it correct. Okay, that's not showing my screen, is it? Share the screen. Okay. Ta-da. Yes, you too. Come on. Okay, so we're going to take the one that is round. That narrows it down a little bit. And it has the green dots on it. Here we go. There's a picture. The first chocolate is this one that's got the cool kind of spirally bits on it. So after we taste each chocolate, I will reveal what we are tasting and then tell you who made it as well. And then we will move on to the next one. Okay.
Am I allowed to bite into it yet? I'm scared.
Oh yeah, sorry. If anyone wants to know about, I would recommend if you don't, or if you do have a knife handy, I always like cutting chocolates.
Oh, that's a great idea.
But it's totally okay just to bite straight into it.
All right. Mmm. Mmm. Oh, that is so nice. Oh.
I'm going to join you.
Yeah, can you get me the little chopping board, the little tiny one? Mmm. That's really hard not to eat the other half.
Yeah, I know, this one is good. Like, I'm just not quite sure what I'm tasting. I better just keep eating. Sorry, I realise now I did a really terrible introduction of both you and me, Gemma. I'm very sorry.
That's okay. I mean, I assume everyone knows who you are.
No, not necessarily. But while you're enjoying your chocolate, everybody, Gemma is the founder of Crumbs and Doilies, which is one of the first cupcake businesses before cupcakes became the phenomenon that they did. And they make, Gemma and her team make incredible large size cakes as well with beautiful decorations. She also started a YouTube channel called Cupcake Jemma, which has over 2 million subscribers now. So she has some of her team helping out with that as well.
Yeah.
Yes, Will, she is an absolute legend. I met Gemma when she was selling the Crumbs and Doilies on a market stall in Covent Garden, I think.
Oh yeah, probably either Covent Garden or Brick Lane perhaps. Or maybe Covent Garden on a Thursday.
It would have been Covent Garden because Brick Lane was too cool for me. I don't think I ever went.
Oh.
12 or more years ago, I think. Very long.
It's been going, so we've been going for 14, it'll be 14 years. Is it 15 years? Hang on. No, 15 years this April. Wow.
Congratulations.
A long time.
The tours, chocolate tours, will be 16 years in May. Well, they would be. They were 15 years last May, but we haven't done it for a year. So
wow.
We haven't caramel shortcake, creme brulee, burnt, nice salt balance. I'm sure the burnt is like a positive thing, like burnt butter. Yeah? The crunchy bits explode in the mouth. They do feel like they're doing that. Biscoff with a lovely. Okay.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit of like speculoos or speculoos or however you actually really say it, but Biscoff, you know what I mean.
Yes, and that reminds me that I meant to go back to the chocolatier and ask him in the ingredients what the actual spices were, but they are very Biscoff spices, that kind of cinnamony. Yeah,
I like it's also really clean. Like it kind of comes and goes really quickly. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's not a lingerer.
No, and so what I try and do with the chocolates is pick a selection of some that are trickier to guess and a bit more adventurous, and then some that I think will be more crowd pleasers. And this one is hopefully a crowd pleaser, but also as your palate warms up, so after you taste a few chocolates, you actually become better at detecting things. So it's not that the first thing, when you have a clean palate, you're able to detect all the tiny little flavor molecules. You're actually better after you've tried several chocolates. So if I was to give you something that was really subtle initially, it would be harder to guess. So you'll see that that's the reason that I want you to try and save some of them to go back to them, because they will taste different depending on what you've eaten just beforehand and how much you've established your palate during the tasting session.
Well, I don't know if anyone saw on Instagram, but I rather stupidly had these just before before the chocolate tasting, because I couldn't resist trying them for obvious reasons.
That's the new collaboration, isn't it? With the
and they're actually quite spicy, and I thought, I'll just finish the packet off, and then my mouth was kind of on fire, and I was like, oh God, this is probably the worst possible thing I could eat before I'm supposed to actually use my taste buds.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Oh, I've got a question for you, actually. What is a good palate cleanser when you're doing stuff like this? Because obviously, like, you can't, when you go to a perfume shop, you sniff coffee, right? And it kind of cleanses your nasal palate. Is there something that one can do in between chocolate?
There's not. Okay, so the best thing is rather random. For the International Chocolate Awards, when we do them in person, we get cooked a giant vat of polenta, which is unseasoned, no fat, so it's just gruel, basically.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's very good quality polenta, which makes a difference. But yeah, I don't love polenta anymore. So basically just eating chocolate and gruel all throughout the day, but it works incredibly well at neutralizing flavors and removing chili and fats and all the sweetness without giving too much of a flavor. So in some other chocolate awards, we use bread or apple, which work really well at getting rid of what you just tasted, but then obviously will slightly influence what you're tasting next. So yeah, it's tricky. It's better we found judge tasting no more than 15 in one session, and then you kind of need an hour's break. But when I'm judging at home, if there's something too intense, I'll take just 10-15 minutes, however long I need to get back to some balance. Okay, sorry, we're revealing the chocolate. So this chocolate is called beer and biscuits.
Oh,
so, yes. That is the maltiness.
It was slightly beery, wasn't it?
I think so. So that's the inside. You've got a layer of the biscuit and the layer of caramel. So you might have seen this if you do follow me on Instagram. It's normally in a full-size bar. Well, full size. I mean, it could always be bigger, of course, but in a mini chocolate bar version. So it's very much like a Twix. And so I love, so far it's your favorite. Yay! Dragging this out. I'm sorry. And it's like a little mini Twix, and that beer gives the malty flavor that you get in the Twix, but there are spices in the biscuit layer on the bottom, and the beer is cooked out, so there's no alcohol left in it, but it gives that like slightly malty, addictive deliciousness. Possibly how they make actual Twix bars? Probably not. Probably not. But this was, so David Crichton, who created this chocolate, he only recently launched his chocolate company. He is a pilot, and so he started it just before Thomas Cook, who was a pilot before, went into administration. And then he got hired by BA, and then COVID happened. So he's on gardening leave. The blessing is he gets more time to make chocolates for all of us. And all of his come in bar format normally. So he made this one especially for all of you so you could sample it. And there are some really interesting ranges in his collection. So you have some cocktail ones that sound pretty amazing as well. But as a long time lover of Twix. It's very satisfying for me personally to have one that's made with good chocolate that tastes very similar to it. Yeah, bigger is always better. It is fantastic as a full-size bar. It's just even better than it is in the small version. So.
I'm all about that. Give me some of that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't just be able to eat one piece of it.
No, I ate the whole bar really quickly.
Yeah.
It was all gone. The 2 bars that I got were gone in half an hour. Yeah, I really recommend it as a bar. The biscuit's even crispier than it is in this one. So
where can one order those?
So Careless Collection. So everybody who has registered for this, I will take your email addresses from the Zoom registration, and I will send a list with the links to all of the chocolatiers. So I encourage you to buy more from all of them, because they're all small independent businesses, and that's what the tastings are about, helping to support these amazing people doing incredible work. Right, next chocolate is this one. Oh, Sudi, you already had one. I'm very jealous.
Speckly.
So it's the pinkishy purple speckly one, not to be confused with the bronze one, which is the same shape. And if you're not cutting and you want to see, that's what it looks like inside.
Ooh.
Very shiny.
That is a really familiar flavour, and I can't quite put my finger on it. And it's trying to trick me into thinking it's something else, I think. It's trying to trick me into thinking it's like raspberry or something, but I just don't think it is. Sneaky.
It is sneaky. They're always so sneaky. I find it really, I mean, I have been judging chocolate awards since 2009, or maybe earlier. I think 2009. Will could probably tell me. He's on the call, a fellow judge.
I will.
And it's really hard to tell what, unless something's super obvious. It's especially when people blend more than one ingredient in the chocolate. It's tricky, which is all part of the fun. Okay, so we're getting cherry, vegetable taste in a good way. I can see that. Raspberry, bitter finish, but you've already finished it.
It's something really more unusual than that, like not sea buckthorn, but like that, like something really kooky.
Acidic, perhaps?
Yeah, super acidic. I just don't know. Ooh, it's really lovely.
Okay, so there are 2 ingredients, and they have both been mentioned in the chat now. So it is, well done. I think it was Amy, was it? And you were right about the raspberry. It is raspberry.
Oh, but I actually thought it wasn't, but it was trying to trick me.
The reason why it's tricky is because it's raspberry and balsamic. But that's obviously going to change the way the flour. Yay, me! And somebody else said vinegar as well.
I have to have another bit, obviously.
Obviously, yeah. Annabelle and Mark got the vinegar part as well. So the reason someone said bitter, but I'm going to take that as intense. It's made with an 85% chocolate in the ganache. So this one is actually purely vegan as well. It's a water ganache, which for those of you who are not as geeky about their chocolate yet, chocolate truffles are usually made with a ganache, which is a mixture typically of chocolate and cream, but you can make ganaches with other liquids. So pure water, fruit purees, alcohol, vinegar, although if you're going to use vinegar, you probably also want to use water or something else. But it makes this really lovely silky ganache when you don't use the cream. Obviously it does when you do use the cream, but you get a cleaner finish with regards to being able to identify the chocolate. Because if you think about it, when you add cream to dark chocolate, you're basically making it into a milk chocolate. So it's going to make it quite different to how it started. But if you're using water, then you're keeping it as a pure kind of dark chocolate taste.
Interesting. I've never made a water ganache. Is it the similar technique or?
Yes, but it can seize initially, so you kind of need to keep emulsifying it it can be problematic if you emulsify, put too much air into it, because it's obviously like with more water, it means the shelf life's less stable.
Right.
I don't think it's as good if you're using it like as a cake covering, because it tends to dry up more quickly.
Yeah.
At least in my experience of making it, but Will could probably give us some better advice on that if he'd like to chip in. I'll have you as a guest sometime, Will. But it's I love it as a ganache, because you get such a like pure chocolatey taste. It's like pouring the chocolate on the cake, but with the texture of ganache. It's amazing. Okay, so the next chocolate that we're going to taste, so I didn't reveal raspberry and balsamic by Exo Chocolate. Sorry, Rob, if you're on the call, I apologize for not. This is why I set up this this PowerPoint, so I don't forget. So Exo Chocolate is a brand new chocolate company. They are based in South Wimbledon, and I went to visit them yesterday. I had to go for work reasons and then stopped, which is kind of also work reasons. But it's a beautiful little shop, and they opened in June last year with ice cream as well. And the range of chocolates that they have is really interesting. There's some saffron and hibiscus, and one of my favorites actually that I was trying to get for this, but I'll explain why I didn't later, was a champagne chocolate, which is a ruby chocolate ganache with champagne truffle inside, and that is superb. And their hot chocolate, I can attest from yesterday, is fabulous as well. And so Rob used to work as a chef for Formula One, where he also used to work with Ollie from Popham's, for those of you who are London based and know Popham's Bakery, some of the best pastries in town. And yeah, he sells other things in the shop as well, but highly recommend visiting. Obviously you can order online as well if you are not local. Okay, next chocolate. It's this beautifully shaped one. I really hope they all survived the journey. I was fairly confident that they were wedged in, but they'll still taste great even if they did crack.
I want this one to have ears. Little mouse.
Does look like a little mouse.
Can I just say, this is literally the first time I've had a reason to use this tiny chopping board. And I'm really living for it right now. Very nice, tiny chopping board.
That's where your chocolate should live. Just
yeah,
make it feel special. Even if it is a Twix, you can just like cut tiny slices from it.
Wow.
I don't know if you have noticed that when I'm trying the chocolate, I'm smelling it first, which is a habit from judging. It's less important when you're tasting filled chocolates, but something that does help. Certainly with some flavors, they're easier to smell through your nose rather than taste sort of retronasally once you put it in your mouth. And that's what it looks like inside. Anyone who's...
I'm getting the familiar flavour of cheese mould in a good way. You know, when you get a big slab of like Montgomery's cheddar and there's a big vein of mould.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of earthiness and grain, mushroom. I'm going to taste them now.
You're getting all that with your nose?
I promise, no. I was getting the ingredient when I smelt it, which I won't reveal. It is. I see the mushroom now. Taste the mushroom now. You probably guessed by that it's not mushroom. It is. I'm pretty sure mushroom is on this somewhere. It should be. Anyway, I'll look later. Licorice. Oh, not for you. Okay. It is slightly truffly. I like the diplomacy there, Fiona. Not for you. I love this chocolate. I love them all, otherwise I wouldn't have chosen them. But I did try and choose ones that were quite different in style. Okay, so this chocolate. Anyone have anything you want to add? Anything else, Gemma?
No. It's delicious though.
I'm glad you like it. So this is another new chocolate company. I'm so excited by all the chocolate companies that are opening now, and also London based, so in the docks. And this is jasmine tea and honey. Oh,
interesting. I was not expecting that.
No, and so so I said about smelling it, which apologies, you might try and smell what you've got left now, but it doesn't work. So as soon as you put chocolate in your mouth, the smell is not the same. You need to break from it before you can get the same aroma as you did before you put it in your mouth. A weird quirk of science. So you can smell the jasmine. This chocolate is not vegan, but it is also a water ganache, because obviously honey is not vegan, but it is purely made with the jasmine tea infused, well, cool jasmine tea blended with the chocolate. And it is original beans chocolate. So it's a wild Bolivian chocolate, which if you haven't tried the wild Bolivian chocolate on its own, it is phenomenal. It's one of my favorite chocolates. And it naturally has these kind of jasmine and honey notes in it. So the reason they've chosen it, yes, Benny Wild Harvest, thanks, Sudie. The reason they've chosen the jasmine and the honey was to try and like enhance those flavors further. The shape is beautiful. Someone just commented on it. All of their chocolates come in this format, and this is their beautiful packaging. Let me see my screen as well. And the range of chocolates include there's a raspberry ganache with crystallized pecans, a scorched hay infused caramel ganache with roasted banana.
That sounds yum.
It's really, that was my other choice. I was trying to decide between those two, the one we tried and this one. And there's a hoji chow with wild English cherry. They're all subtle because they're using such phenomenal chocolate that it's supposed to be sort of enhancing the chocolate rather than overwhelming it. So a good way to tell if a chocolate is not great is if they have a peppermint chocolate, because most of the time peppermint hides all manner of sins in chocolate, and so you wouldn't be buying expensive chocolate and then adding peppermint to it. Well, you might if you're obsessed with peppermint, but yeah, it's a bit of a waste of really amazing chocolate. Yeah, chili potentially as well, although a lot of people do put chili in because customers like it, I think. Okay, the cartography as well have offered a discount. I think some of the other chocolatiers have, but I will include that in the email that follows up. And they're doing a tasting as well. So if you want a guided tasting through all of their chocolates, they're doing that on the 25th of February. The two people that started this, so Kay and Sven was the 2019 winner of the MasterChef The Professionals rematch. So he has another business called Miso Hungry, which is Japanese restaurant kits, which looks amazing. I don't eat fish, but if you do, check it out. Oh, I'm going to get the gyoza because they come in a vegan version. Okay, chocolate, getting distracted, apologies. Have a look. I'll make sure I get the email to you all tomorrow in case you want to join their tasting as well. The next chocolate is the Shiny Bronzy Dome. And inside, it looks like this. I assume they do like mattes because it's, yeah, there's a map on the packaging. I didn't find out about the reasoning behind it, but it does have maybe something to do with 20 degrees either side of the equator, which is the band in which cocoa grows, for those of you who didn't know. Best places to holiday, cocoa and warm weather.
I'm getting a bit of booze in this one. Just a little bit. Just enough.
Yeah.
And maybe a bit of coffee. Was it Tia Maria? Kidding.
Close. Yes. Yes, Robert.
Ah. I see.
You guys are good at this one. So yeah, this is what I meant. Sometimes they're easier to guess. So I was sent a box of a range of this chocolatier's chocolate, and also again it was really difficult to try and choose one. The salted caramel was one of the best salted caramels I've had, and then the straight up whiskey one was really cool too, but I know that not everybody likes great like huge amounts of whiskey in their chocolate, so I thought this one was a lovely balance of whiskey and coffee,
Mm.
which is an Irish coffee, and it has come all the way from Ireland. I just like to say it like that. I think I'm allowed. My mum's Irish.
It's perfect, spot on.
There we go. So this company is 10 Watch Chocolates. I think there should be an S on there. Sorry, Laurie. And Laurie is a baker by trade. And this year, or last year, sorry, 2020, he won the gold award for his sourdough, which I now really want to try. And so he's based in County Antrim in Ireland, and he also won a gold award for this one, and it won gold with the International Chocolate Awards as well. It's possible that I judge this, but we don't get revealing information, so I'm not sure. But I think it's very special. It's like the only time my mum drinks coffee is if it's Irish. With lots of cream as well. Lots of cream and lots of whiskey. And actually, I think it's the only time she drinks whiskey as well. She's like cream, I think.
I used to love making them. I used to be a bartender, and I just used to love floating the cream. It was very satisfying.
Yes.
But
yes.
Does anyone actually make them at home? Is it?
That's where we would have them growing up all the time at home, all the time.
Lucky you.
It's not alcoholic. My parents didn't really drink much, but whenever we had guests, they would always get offered Irish coffee, and I really enjoyed drinking cream off the top as well. It's very 1970s. Yeah, my parents are very much stuck in the 1970s in every way, shape, and form. Food, clothes.
There's nothing wrong with that.
There was in the 1990s. Now they're all fine. They can do whatever they like. But yes, Laurie's chocolates are also amazing. So, yeah, I'll send you the link. And now I want his sourdough as well. I'm sure next day delivery would still be great. He works part-time for a baker and then does this. So his plan is to open up a shop that's both a bakery and a chocolate shop, but it's on pause because of coronavirus.
What's that? I've not heard of it.
This thing, I don't know. It's going to be over soon, I'm sure.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, my professional opinion.
You know best. You know best.
Yes, chocolate experience, definitely. All the C words. Yeah, it's perfect. Right. Giddy, lack of sleep. The next chocolate is, only two left, the white one. I bet you thought this one was going to be last. It's not. And careful if you're cutting or biting into this one to share it with somebody, because, ta-da.
Ooh.
Yeah, I bet you do, Will. Will's got a brand new baby.
Oh, yes. Congratulations, Will.
So, Will, I mentioned, is a fellow chocolate judge and also has written 3 baking books. So, yeah, that's why I keep referring to him.
That's it's tropical. It's mango-y or
Helping him.
Oh, that stuff, whatever that is. I could eat it with a spoon. A tiny, tiny spoon. Is it mango or is it mango and something? Passion fruit, perhaps? Something tropical?
Solero, yeah, perfect, Annie.
Oh yeah, it's like a Solero. I only had my first Solero in my life last year. Can you believe it? I know.
Where have you been, Jemma?
I've been in Maxibon land. Sorry, guys. That's my go-to newsagent ice cream.
Is that chocolate with biscuit?
Yeah, it's got one end, like a biscuity end, but they're like squishy biscuits, and then it's got the bit with the like crunchy, chocolatey outer shell.
I've seen it, but I don't think I've ever had one of those. So there you go. I'm like also
really missing out. You and your fancy chocolate.
Yeah, tornadoes were fancy for me. Yes, so someone's mentioned about normally hating white chocolate. So I love the right white chocolate, and this is an excellent white chocolate from Madagascar. The chocolatier said, "Shall I put them in shells?" And I said, "If you want." But I'm glad she didn't, because the white chocolate that she's used to make these is much better chocolate than the white chocolate that you generally get for shells. I mean, it doesn't matter, it would still be delicious, but if you are able to separate the chocolate taste from the center, then it's just got so much more to it than just your standard white chocolate. There's actually got flavor notes. So
it's very subtle, and most white chocolate is so over vanillaed.
Yes.
Which just overpowers everything, and it's also really sweet. And this is just barely there. It's like really subtle and
exactly.
Delicate.
Most it's really sickly, and
yeah.
This is a really high cocoa percentage. So white chocolate still has a cocoa percentage, which is only cocoa butter. And I just think white chocolate pairs really well with tropical or any kind of acidity in flavors. Yeah. So you were right, Gemma. It is mango and passion fruit.
I got one right.
And although it is technically a passion fruit caramel, but it does have mango in it as well.
Interesting.
There we go. And it is made by Julia of Toot Sweets Chocolate. So if any of you are Chitty Chitty Bang Bang fans.
I was on telly the other day.
Was it?
Yeah.
I missed it. I haven't watched it in years, to the point where when Julia told me, I was like, oh yeah, and I then just listened to it this evening. Get me in the mood. It's a fun song. So yeah, if you can all go and do that after this. I'll put the link in the follow-up email, but I'm sure you can find it yourselves, and you will as soon as we say goodbye, I'm sure. The white chocolate, I think, oh, Julia, are you on the call? She uses a mixture of Amade, original beans, Maru, and those are the ones listed. This might be Chocolat Madagascar, but otherwise it could be original beans. Yeah, it is a fantastic white chocolate, and I love how runny the caramel is. It's not really so much a caramel as a puree that's like, I don't know, I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's again very delicate and just so sort of light in your mouth, which is great because it means you can eat multiple.
Yes, it does. Yeah, except when you've only got one. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
The white chocolate is just cocoa butter and sugar, and milk powder. Sorry, and milk powder. I don't think there's vanilla in this, but
It doesn't taste like it.
Sorry?
It doesn't taste like it.
No, it really doesn't, and I think like that's what makes it so special. And when you have proper cocoa butter that isn't filtered to death, then you get like chocolatey flavors from it as well, without needing to just add vanilla to give it some flavor.
Yeah.
There is a reason why I'm rambling in between chocolates, because I'm trying to give you a natural break before tasting the next one, because with all of them, because if you try them too close together, then you will perhaps get overwhelmed. Wouldn't want that, my darlings. Okay, last chocolate. Feel free to start putting your questions into Gemma, and we'll come to them when we get to it. So the very last chocolate, by process of elimination, is the rectangle with the leaf design. Yeah, I did think that, Will, about people giving up chocolate for Lent. One of the companies that got in touch about doing a tasting then sent another email saying, I think we have to wait till the end of April. Yeah.
This is like sherbet. I feel like there's lime sherbet in there. I haven't even eaten it, I just licked it. I'm going real slow on this one.
Yeah, make it last.
Mm.
Lime, lemon, lemony sherbet, lime and lemongrass, ginger.
It's like a lime sherbet dib dab. Ooh,
I love a dib dab.
Hang on a minute. Something else is happening. Like hot. Maybe that's just because I put too much in. Oh gosh, that's so intense. It really reminds me of something from my childhood, but maybe it's just because it's a sherbet dib dab.
I think it is. All those what were they called? The flying saucer type things?
Oh yeah, they're my husband's favourites. He's not allowed to see them.
Do they still exist?
Yeah. There's a shop near here that sells them. It's like a healthy shop. They sell nuts and berries and whatnot. And then at the back, they sell sweets. And they've got a huge container full of flying saucers. And it's very difficult to swerve past them.
There's a reason to move to Hove.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, I haven't had those in ages. Although I did the last time I had them, because I saw them and got really excited. I was like, they're kind of like papery and the sherbet just always works. We should explain for anyone who doesn't know what a flying saucer is. It is God, how do you explain them?
It's a rice paper,
yes,
flying saucer shaped thing with sherbet inside.
Yes, just pure sherbet. So it just kind of, when you like melt through the rice paper or bite into it, tear into it, it just kind of like fills your mouth with sherbet.
It's kind of unpleasant, but also brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. Very much a kid thing. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to just put food dye or lemon juice on sugar and eat it. So we lived very far from any supermarkets. So that was my sweets. When I wanted to
make your own sherbet.
Yep, deprived childhood. So there were quite a few people who got it correct. Leah and Amy. Amy, are you a chef? Do you work in the food industry? I'm doing well here. So yes, it has 3 ingredients. Lime is one of them. Lemongrass is another. And chili is the last one.
I knew it.
Lots of you got it.
I was getting a bit warm.
Yeah, so I obviously chose to put this one in last because the chili could potentially be.
Yeah, it could have been competing with my KFC crisps.
Maybe I should have started with that one. If you told me, or if I checked my Instagram perhaps before, I might have realised we should do them in reverse order. How do you differentiate between the lime and the lemongrass? I feel like it comes in waves, so that the lime hits you straight away, and then the lemongrass. I feel like lemongrass is slightly more like fragrant and less acidic. So I guess lemongrass is not really acidic the way that lime is. And no ginger. No, but it's funny how when you, like, most of the time when I've had lemongrass, except in chocolate, it's been with ginger. And so sometimes when you try things that are always associated with something else, you always taste like the other thing.
It's a bit like pink food, always tasting like strawberries.
Yes.
Like pink buttercream, for example, on my market stall, used to always, people like, oh, the strawberry one. It's just pink.
Yes. Yeah.
Or people would taste it and they'd think it was strawberry because it's just a sort of weird illusion.
Yes. And orange does the same thing.
Yeah. But question, maybe you know the answer being a massive chocolate expert, is the orange Smartie actually orange flavour, or is it just a mental mind game?
I'm so happy I know the answer to that. It is. Yes. But only in the UK, not in Europe.
I think it must be the only Smartie that's got a flavour apart from.
It's the only Smartie with a flavour.
How odd. Oh, they're missing a trick there.
I know they are, but it's weird because not everybody knows that. I think some people think that they're just tasting orange because it's my lights are a bit bright for my face, aren't they? Washed out. I went to the Smarties factory.
Oh, what?
Yes, I know. It was a very happy day. It was in I think it's Hamburg, somewhere in Germany, and so they have to keep all of the whole process for the orange Smarties entirely separate, and it is just the UK, even though they make for the whole Europe. Well, not that we're Europe anymore, but still made there, I'm pretty sure. They're all entirely siphoned off because when you have orange or peppermint or any really strong flavour in a chocolate line, big industrial factory, you really can't put anything else through it because it will pick up the taint of orange. So it's all kept.
I wonder what the determining factor was back in the day with Smarties coming here and making that one orange flavour and just over in Britain. Like, what? Are we like orange lovers known? You know, are we famous for loving oranges?
I think that some of the others used to have flavours as well.
Oh. Do you remember the very brief white Smartie that came and went? Yes. Limited edition.
Yes, I do.
Those are
yeah, well, we're the same age, so yeah, it came when I was in school, I think.
Yeah, so weird.
I love someone saying the pepper ones are their favourites. I know I used to like pick out the ones that like the brown ones. I feel like the brown one had a flavour or does have a flavour in Europe.
Well, it feels like it's more intense chocolate, but again, it's probably just a trick of the mind.
The tricks that like food plays on your mind, color and appearances. There's I was in a room with people professional food people, and there's like 100 of us, and we were given white wine and red wine and asked to describe the flavor notes, and we wrote very typical red wine flavors for the red one and white wine flavors for the white one, and then found out they were exactly the same wine. Yeah, these people who create recipes and things for a living. So
wow.
It is tricky. It is easy to be deceived by the mind. There's actually an article in Business Week this week, I think, about an engineer who previously worked at Tesla, maybe still does, who is developing the optimum shape for tasting chocolate.
Like shape piece of chocolate?
Yes, for giving maximum flavor, because he said that we designed the shape of chocolate based on what the capabilities of machines were, rather than what would give the best flavor.
Interesting.
But when Cadbury changed their shape and made the squares more rounded, people said that it tasted sweeter, because we do experience sharper corners as sharper flavors and rounder edges as sweeter. So it's, even small things like that make a big difference.
It's funny, I was actually chatting with someone who I can just see on a square just below me, Martha DeLacy. We were just chatting about that earlier, about the Tony's Chocolonely bars, which are famously the pattern, what do you call it, like the mold that they use is really random, and you get some massive pieces and you get some small pieces, and then some of the different flavors they do are really all over the place. Like the Christmas one was basically a Christmas tree was one piece and then little bits around the outside, and the sort of eating experience of that is actually, I feel like Martha was sort of saying it felt like it was, or no, maybe it was someone else, maybe it was Felicity, we were in the same conversation, but saying it tasted more kind of waxy, because you're trying to kind of fight your way through this gigantic piece of chocolate you've broken off. Whereas if it was a bit snappier, maybe it wouldn't seem so waxy and sweet.
Yeah. I should have okay, it's been changed up. Just realised I've still got that up. I haven't revealed who made that chocolate yet, have I? I'll do that in just a moment. But it's fascinating about the change in flavour based on the shape. It really does make a huge difference. Someone wrote something, the Heston beetroot and orange. The orange one is beetroot flavour and the pepper one's orange. But then people get confused by it, right? Oh, it's amazing. So the final chocolate that you just tried was from De Rosier Chocolates, and that company was started by Leona Finkelstein, who used to be a translator, and she left her job in working for the Ministry of Defence as a translator. So she's basically a spy. That's my conclusion.
Pretty sure everyone who works there is a spy.
Probably shouldn't have revealed that. Sorry, Leona. So she opened a chocolate shop in Southfields, another South London chocolatier. Got quite a few London.
Where I'm from just around the corner from there.
Are you?
Yeah.
And Runs and Doilies still.
Yeah. In Wandsworth, exactly.
I used to live around the corner from both, or between them both. They they also do hot chocolates that are very highly regarded. And this particular chocolate, the lime, lemongrass, and chili, sorry, I'm forgetting now. It won stars, 2 stars, I think, at the Great Taste Awards last year. Sorry, Lena, I've written it down, but I've forgotten.
We've got 3 stars being shown to us.
Oh, well done. I felt like it was 3 stars, but I'm like, that's a lot. Maybe I got it wrong. 9 new messages. Sorry, I'm just really struggling to read. Yeah, I can't keep up with the messages in there. I'll check them in a minute. It's this chocolate is one that they have customers that come in and buy just the entire box.
Wow.
You can see why. I think it's pretty.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd love to know, what was your favourite, everybody? But Gemma, you can tell us while everybody's typing.
Well, the first one, it had a massive piece of my heart just because I love that kind of speculoos spiciness and beer. I actually don't like beer, but I like the flavors that you get from beer. But the mango passion fruit one, and that's not normally something I would go for actually. Like if I was in a chocolate shop and I was picking chocolates out, that would be the last thing on my list. But I loved it.
Yay.
It's just such a lovely texture as well.
It's yeah, I really like that one. So I'm just trying to get rid of the full screen. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure that other people aren't. There we go. That's better. I think so. Recording, trying to make sure you're not on screen if you don't want to be. Good. I love, it's so much fun choosing chocolates, but also really challenging trying to make sure that they don't end up too samey as well. Irish coffee, beer and biscuits, first one, balsamic lime. Oh, I love that everybody.
Oh, yeah, that one. I've got such a terrible memory. Already forgotten.
I keep, honestly, the whole time when I'm planning these, I can only ever remember 5, and it's always a different 5. And I have to like again open up the document where I've written them down. I'm like, I really just need to pin it on a wall. I'm gonna get myself a whiteboard. Yeah, you love them all. Yay, Martha! I'm very glad to hear it. Yeah, it's unsurprising, yes, because the chocolate original beans is amazing. Okay, does anyone have questions for Jemma? I'm sure many of you came because you're big fans of Jemma. So if you're not going to pick her brain, I will. Okay, I'm going to start. You can add yours in, add your questions in. So I want to know, what is the best thing you've ever made or tasted that had chocolate in it?
Gosh, well, so, I don't know if you know the dairy restaurant in Clapham. I'm not even sure if it's still there. I mean, who knows these days? But it used, when it first opened, it used to do this dessert, which was like a sort of love letter to chocolate, but also like malt chocolate. And it had about 8 different components, like crunchy, smooth, liquid, sponge. Like it just had like so much going on, and this like delicious, like crunchy, malty, chocolatey stuff. And I think that's probably my favorite chocolate thing that I've ever eaten. But in terms of what I make or have made, I mean, a good chocolate chip cookie, but you know, just like much like the one you've all got the recipe for.
I'm so excited to have this.
That one is great actually, because well, when we bake it at the shop, at the bakery, we use black cocoa, which is quite hard to come by actually, but it really does make all the difference, just because it's quite bitter. And so while the cookie itself is a gigantic ball of sweetness, it would be, it's really balanced nicely by the black cocoa. And yeah, like I like just putting chocolate in rather than, I'm not a chocolatier at all. Like I don't know much about, the inner workings of chocolate. So I like to keep it really, really simple and not do too much to it, mainly because it's out of my skill set.
The black cocoa is what they use in Oreo cooking.
Yeah.
It's doesn't have a lot of chocolatey flavor.
No, it doesn't actually, but it does have a sort of familiar chocolatey bitterness that regular cocoa powder just doesn't have.
Yes, yeah. It's when I just before about a year ago, I went to Ed's house, Ed Kimber, who was the very first special guest for the chocolate tastings, and he had just baked. Like I came for this specific reason and because we're friends, but he had just baked 5 brownies to an identical recipe using 5 different cocoa powders, and one of them was black cocoa, and it didn't work as a only cocoa in a brownie. It was truly really
quite dry.
Yeah, and just so like not chocolatey. But it was the other ones were amazing. It was fascinating. It was like Dutch and non-Dutch and different 10 to 20% of fat. So if you weren't aware, cocoa has fat in it still. Doesn't all get squeezed out when you make cocoa butter. there's some more questions, and I've had that dessert from.
Oh, you have?
It was, yeah. I'm just like remembering it as you spoke about it. It really was.
I want to have it like every day.
No,
I probably couldn't really, but
it's not that big. It's fine. Yeah, they've moved to Bermondsey as the Bermondsey Larder, but we should have a chat to Robin and see if we'll go back on, even if just once. Right, there's been lots of questions for you. Black cocoa, look online. I'll see if I can find one source for you to put in the email. But yeah, don't buy a lot of it because it's only really good for fake Oreos and Gemma's amazing cookies. But you probably will make lots of Gemma's cookies, so there's a reason.
Yeah, you really ought to.
Yes. So, what will you bake for your daughter's first birthday?
Oh man, I mean, do you know, I I don't know if I'll bake anything, to be honest, which sounds ridiculous, but she's just so oblivious to the fact that it's her birthday. Yeah. Having owned a cake company for the last 15 years and seen the lengths and the expense that people go to for their children's first birthdays, I mean, you would not believe the things the places I've been to set cakes up and the cakes I've been setting up for 1-year-old. But also, like, we're probably just going to keep it really low key here because she doesn't know anyone. You know, she's not got any mates because we haven't met anyone.
Neither does Maya.
She's a lockdown baby, as you know. So yeah, we'll probably just keep it really, really low key. And maybe if she's lucky, she'll get like a really dry breakfast muffin that I've stuck a candle in.
I made a frozen, because it was Maya's birthday, ended up being like over 30 degrees. I made a frozen.
Oh gosh.
Like raw food thing, but only because we did have some people coming over, and yeah, Maya wasn't interested at all. But I made it with those like really intense blueberries, the organic wild ones, and yeah, it got the blues. There were 3 babies here, and it went everywhere. And
I bet
it was fun.
Well, in a way, I'm quite glad then that she doesn't have any mates, so I don't have to clean up after them.
That is a good point. Yeah, it's fine. There's enough mess with one. Really funny. Hard to scroll through these, but I did see other questions. What's your favorite cupcake from your range?
Oh man, I mean it changes a lot. I mean, we have so many flavors. In the end, you know, by sort of it's not the end. We haven't finished, but like we've probably got, you know, maybe 200 flavors over the last 15 years that have been worked on. One of my all-time favorites is the Earl Grey breakfast, which was actually based on a dessert that I'd had that Neil Rankin did at a restaurant that he briefly was the chef at in Islington, and he made this delicious. It was an Earl Grey panna cotta with like marmalade, and then it had a burnt buttered toast crumb on it. And I ate it many years ago, and I was like, oh my god, this needs to be a cupcake. So that particular flavor, that's got it's got burnt buttered toast in the sponge, so you get that kind of toastiness, and then it's filled with marmalade, and it's got in the sponge is Earl Grey as well, and it's got an Earl Grey buttercream, and then it has the burnt butter toast on top, and it's so delicious. And people used to come into the shop and be a little bit, well, tourists would be like, oh my god, Earl Grey. I mean, assuming that they're American. That was a terrible accent, apologies. But you know, they'd kind of, because it's so quintessentially British, Earl Grey, so a lot of tourists would come and be like, oh, Earl Grey, but generally speaking, it was really ignored for the most part, which was such a shame because it's so delicious.
I feel like I've seen that in your shop, but not bought it. I will now buy it.
Rude.
Well, there's so many other options. And
well, it's very hard to choose. But that's why mini cupcakes are so good, right? Because then you can get like multiple, one of each.
Yeah, true. I should do that more. But you don't have all the flavors in minis always.
True. That's true. And
they're better as a whole, I think. But I like.
Well, I'm a mini cupcake. I can, for some reason, I can eat like one regular sized cupcake will finish me off, but like 8 mini cupcakes, which is basically 2 and a bit regular cupcakes, will be fine.
I'm the same with cake. I can eat a lot more cake than I can eat chocolate, despite the fact that the cake will have a lot more chocolate in it than like a regular sized bar that I might struggle to finish. And yeah, I can eat 100 grams, a third of a cake that has 300 grams of chocolate in it, but I wouldn't necessarily eat 100 grams of chocolate in that same sort of 1 hour period without eating a third of a cake. I really like cake. There's more questions. Do you remember what the very first one was?
My very first cupcake?
Yeah, someone else has that. I didn't catch.
Well, I mean, it's lame, but it was vanilla, of course. You know, I took a long time cracking it, because when I decided I wanted to do cupcakes, I thought, well, there's no point in me doing it if it's going to be crap. So I spent a long time developing my vanilla cupcake recipe, and it did evolve over the years. But so now it's the best. But yeah, vanilla. When I first had my first market stall, I only did vanilla, chocolate, and lemon flavor.
Oh wow!
For ages. And actually, cupcakes were only a small part of the stall. I had this kind of idea that I was creating some kind of tea party type vibe. There was scones, which were really impractical in a market stall, you know, sliced cakes, brownies, and all sorts. But cupcakes were so new then that everyone was like, "Oh, what's this exciting thing?" So in the end, I just kind of got rid of the scones and all the ridiculous things, and did cupcakes, and then built up the flavour, the repertoire.
Over 200.
Yeah.
Double down on the cupcakes. I remember when I met you and asking if at some point, I can't remember when, but we had the conversation about selling elsewhere, and I remember you refused to sell anywhere else because you didn't trust that the places you was selling to would not throw away the cupcakes at the end of the day.
Yeah, we were really so we didn't have anyone selling our cupcakes for a very, very, very long time for that reason. Like, you know, we've always been very much adhering to the rule that nothing gets sold the next day. So which is quite tricky especially when you've got a shop and you need to keep your wastage down, and you need to make the shop appealing, you know, at the end of the day just as much as it is at the beginning. And so it's quite a difficult balancing act, but it's possible. But yeah, we never sell day old cakes, and so we just felt that we were the only people really doing that, and everyone else was saying they were doing it but not actually doing it. So we just decided, I don't ever want anyone's experience of my cake being a dry 2, 3, 4 day old cupcake, you know, and that being attached to our company, and people thinking, well, they sell stale cakes, you know.
Yes.
So yeah, we did eventually, but we had lots of rules in place. So.
And I think probably over time, the places that sell get more appreciative of how important that is, that they perhaps were 14.
Yeah, because I mean, even till recently, I mean, still people insist on putting cakes in the fridge, like cupcakes in the fridge. It's like, for goodness sake, you know. And then saying, oh, they're dry. Well, yeah, of course they are. You stuck them in the fridge, you idiot. But my mum, even my own mother, you know, I'd give her cupcakes and I would tell her a million times to not, but I'd give her cupcakes on a Saturday, and then I'd go around the following Saturday and she'd be like, oh, I gave one of my clients one of your cakes yesterday. And I'm like, but I gave them to you last Saturday. You know, it's just, well, please don't.
No, I bought my mum chocolates before, and then she'd be like, oh, I've still got those chocolates to try. And I'm like, no, that was like, I guess 6 months ago.
It's heartbreaking. it really is heartbreaking.
Paul and Karen, well done on saving half. I'm very impressed. You can enjoy them in any order. I'm sorry, you were so disciplined. We're not going to taste them together as a group. Go ahead and, like, if you taste them now while we're chatting, let us know if you think it tastes different. I was amazed that when I went back to the raspberry one after trying 3 more, I got a lot more of the raspberry flavor than I did at the beginning. So yeah, I would say that someone said that, because I was asking Jemma beforehand what she thought was kind of, if there were some reasons behind the massive success of her business, and her YouTube channel, as I mentioned, has over 2 million subscribers, so you should join in and you know, make it 2 million and
3 and beyond.
But yeah, so do you think there were particular factors in the success of that and of Crumbs and Doilies?
Well, I mean, going back to what we were just talking about, yeah, like, you know, we've always been super, super protective of our product, you know, and really taking a lot of pride in it, you know, so to the point where we would never sell the next day, for example, even if it means unfortunately wasting quite a lot of stuff. And I think, yeah, keeping that really at the focus, that like at the forefront of what we're doing, like making sure that every single time we're doing it every day, even for 15 years, we're doing it the best we possibly can. Using amazing ingredients, even when our own suppliers are calling us going, we've got something cheaper from around the corner, or like, you know, from up the road. You know, just sticking with what works, but also being prepared to adapt and improve. Like, we constantly would, you know, at least annually review our cakes and our flavors and say, well, how can this be better? Or maybe our processes, especially as we got bigger and we got more people working for us baking the cakes. And so, you know, it's as a company gets bigger, it's so much harder to maintain that quality and make sure that everyone working for you has the same values and the same feels for your company as you do. And on that, actually, like hiring people that really care, like, and really want to be baking. Like, we never sort of hired people that just needed a job. You know, we hire people who really, really love to bake and really have heard about our company and really want to work for us. And so we've got this amazing team who, you know, I mean, this year has been an absolute shining light on them, like, because they're coming in, they're not even baking anymore, really. Like, they're doing something completely different. You know, they've come to work for Crumbs and Doilies under the illusion that they're going to be baking our cakes. And obviously, when the pandemic hit, we had to completely pivot. And now, you know, there is a bit of baking, a very small amount, but the bake at home kits are really what we've been focusing on over the last year. And you've got bakers bagging up flour, you know, and they're loving it because they are really invested in our company and they love working for us, and we've created a really nice sort of environment for them to work in, and we value them hugely. And I think all of that goes towards creating a brand that is successful and that people can see, you know, and having the YouTube channel's been really good for that as well, because people can really see like how much we love Crumbs and Doilies, you know, how like we love our customers and how approachable we are. We're not, you know, we've become quite successful over the years, but we've not lost like our humanity, and we're still a really, I mean, to say like Crumbs and Doilies as a family sounds really cheesy, but it really is, you know. And I think that shows through the YouTube, and I think that shows kind of through everything that we do, you know, and how strong our team is.
Yeah, I definitely see all of that. I've been geeking out on Clubhouse a bit, the new app, which has a lot of people trying to sell you like their courses and stuff, but there is a lot of interesting marketing talk and business talk, and so many times I've heard the people buy from people, like, and you have multiple people selling shoes or cakes or whatever the item is, but there's people buy from the person or the brand, if it's shoes probably, that really like connects with them. And there's no reason why there can't be multiple of anything, because people are the people.
Yeah, and you know, and also, you know, having a YouTube channel, it obviously it's got some success, and people have found Crumbs and Doilies through Cupcake Jemma or vice versa. And so, like, that doesn't mean nothing. I know that's a really terrible sentence, but like that means something, right? And so we owe it to all of those people who follow the YouTube channel, Instagram, whatever, to keep producing like really good stuff, because God forbid, like, it really break my heart if people came to the shop, and you know, it does happen occasionally, right? Because some people, you know, some people's expectations are really high and whatever. Some people have a bad day. But if people were coming to the shop because of me, or because they've followed Crumbs and Doilies for a while and were disappointed, like genuinely disappointed for good reason, it would just be like, well, what is the point of us even doing this? Like, I'd feel really, well, I wouldn't be me, right? But it would be completely crap.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I feel the same about the chocolate tours. It was really hard to get other people to guide them initially.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Getting other people. I remember for years I hovered over people's shoulders saying, "Are you putting that sprinkle on right?" You know, letting people do their jobs was really hard for me at the very beginning, as I'm sure it was for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially with the tours. But I think, like you say, finding people. I always said that it's more important to have people who are really passionate about chocolate and love making other people happy.
Yeah.
Like, because for the tours, it's just about the experience. And if you're people who just thrive off other people being joyful, then you're going to be a great guide, and you can remember some stuff. That's also important. But
yeah,
these are great. Some of them are on the call, and not because like you know I gave them for the first round, but they're paying to be here because they love chocolate that much. So,
oh,
hi guys, love you. Somebody's asked about the logistics of Brexit. Has that been awful? It's a bit of a serious one.
I mean, I'm really, full disclosure, right? I was on maternity leave, and I kind of still am because it's lockdown. So I haven't really been involved in the day-to-day for quite some time. So luckily, my business partner and our general manager, Sam and Sally, who are also the guys that are doing, if anyone is a YouTube subscriber, you'll know who Sally is. Sally now hosts the videos while I'm sort of doing this. Not this, it's the actual thing, but I mean like living here and looking after a baby. And Sam is my business partner. He makes all the videos. And I've completely forgotten what I was saying.
You haven't had to deal with Brexit too much.
Yeah, so Brexit. Oh yeah, I'm trying to forget about Brexit. It literally is working. So yeah, we had a bit of trouble on the day because no one knew what was going on, and we used DPD, who also, and I think a lot of the kind of couriers were a bit taken aback and taken by surprise. But we've just had to switch off certain things going to Europe, unfortunately, because they opened it up. They were like, yeah, we can get things to Europe, and then things were like 5% or 10% of things were coming back to us with no real explanation. So we've just had to make a decision to say, well, certain things can't go to Europe, unfortunately, like the cake kits. But on the whole, like, it's been okay. It hasn't been too bad. Most of the stuff that we get from here. So.
Do you have a recommended, another person asked, sorry, I apologise for not grabbing your name when I'm asking the question, about a favourite chocolate for baking with?
Oh, well, when I first started baking, I'd been, in my previous job, using Valrhona, which was, I mean, as everyone will know, it was very well regarded, particularly back then. I think there's probably quite a few more better God, I can't string a sentence together, chocolates out there these days. We use Calabo, which we really like. I also like Gittard, but it just wasn't quite right for our cakes. They tried very hard to get us to use them, but we're really, like I said earlier, like we taste and taste and taste, and we will always experiment with other products to see, you know, because you never know, like, right, you might hit on something. And actually we did recently with estate dairy milk and butter, having used Lesvia for years and years and years and years, and then I actually know Sean, the guy that started Estate Dairy with his wife, and he was like, hey, do you want me to bring some butter and some milk round? And it was genuinely an improvement, you know, an improvement on something that we had thought was the best of the best. So, you know, it's always worth trying these things. But with Calabo, we're really happy with it. Like, you know, we've tried maybe a dozen other chocolates in our cakes, and I can't speak for everything, right? But it's just what works for our particular product. Yeah. So
I did find there's something about their chocolate that like creates that real cakey flavor.
Yes.
Because it's not trying to be, I don't know what it is, that the fancier chocolate brands in cakes don't always
Yeah, I think for our particular product, because it's not like we're not some sort of high-end patissier, like, you know, it's cake, it's cookies, it's brownies, it's real like gutsy stuff. So it's almost pointless to sort of waste an amazing like fancy pants chocolate in it, because it's lost, or it, you know, it's lost under a bunch of sponge.
You know, and then you'd have to charge more because that's so yeah. I know with this, like talking about this tasting wheel, like when you go to the more expensive chocolates, you end up with so many of these flavors going on that it can be distracting and detract the chocolate experience that you should be getting. Did I miss any questions? Someone want to raise their hand if anyone has a question they want to ask that I didn't see? Scrolling function on this chat is not great. Or do you have any? I've got one more question if no one else minds. You can drop off if you want to. I don't mind. if you need to go and sleep or something, or go watch that Chitty Chitty Bang Bang song or something.
Maybe feed the cat.
But, do you have any baking disasters to share to make us all feel human?
Well, I was thinking about this earlier. I mean, obviously everyone has baking disasters, right? You know, even me, like 10, 13, you know, however many years in, I'll forget to put some vital ingredient. You know, I'll be making vanilla cupcakes, having done it potentially hundreds of thousands of times, and I'll forget to put like a whole ingredient in, and they'll come out being completely wrong. But aside from that, most of the disasters that have happened with crumbs and doilies have been decoration and transport disasters. You know, like arriving at the venue, you know, for an event, and the cake is in some way broken, and having to work out there and then. I'll never forget, actually, we did a sweet 16 at Café de Paris, and we did this cake. I mean, it was basically me. I did this cake, and it had her name piped in red on the top, and I was intending to stack the cakes when I got there, because I didn't really have the means at the time to transport a stacked cake. And somewhere along the line, the lid from the box that it was in had touched the writing and just pulled the whole lot off. And I was there to set it up, and I never forget, they were doing a sound check. They had some band playing, they were doing a sound check, and I was freaking out because half the guests were arriving, and there was all these 16-year-olds all crowded around me, like looking at what I was doing, because it was a bit, you know, interesting, I suppose. And I'm like trying to fix an issue with the cake. I don't really want anyone to see that there's an issue with the cake. And I've got all these kids going, what are you doing? And I had to recreate the message with strawberry laces to like cut out tiny little bits of strawberry laces and like spell out her name again. All under the watchful eye of about 20 16-year-olds. It was very stressful. And also with like the bass of a sound check going on in my ears. It was horrible.
Did you like nip out to the shop to get the strawberry laces?
Funnily enough, luckily for me, there were bowls and bowls and bowls of sweets everywhere, flying saucers, and various other sort of pick and mix sweets just everywhere. So I actually struck lucky there, because I don't know what I would have done.
Oh,
would have just had to scrape it off and just pretend that there was no message in the first place.
Oh, that's lucky.
Yeah, we've had cakes collapse on a hot day in the van before, and like getting there and trying to have to patch them up. But
I couldn't do that job.
Yeah, it can be quite stressful.
Yeah, I don't even like the anxiety of waiting to see if all the chocolates that I've ordered for all of your boxes arrive. Like, even that, just yeah. Maybe once I learn to sleep more, I might be calmer about it all.
I used to have dreams of disasters. I used to have dreams of like dropping an entire cake at someone's wedding, you know, nightmares.
Yeah, that's
never happened.
Yeah, it happens, so doesn't it? Because I mean, that's what videos are made for.
Yeah.
At least, you might be able to get some content out of it if it ever happens. Although it's probably not great for your brand, probably.
No, I don't think that's going on YouTube.
Did anyone have any more questions? I don't know if I missed anything. I don't know how to use this computer. Why is it so different from my computer? 12 new messages.
Like going from a Mac to a PC.
Yeah, and it's still a PC, and yet I'm still useless. I don't know why. How are we skinny from eating chocolate and cakes? Good luck, maybe. We don't really eat them, right, Jim?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, lots of vegetables. The oh, I'm glad you enjoyed, everybody. Thank you. Will's wedding cake was made by Gemma.
Oh yes, I did do Will's wedding cake. Oh.
And it didn't collapse either.
No, it didn't. Well, that's because I set it up there on site.
Lesson sense. Oh, Gabby's asked if you could only eat one supermarket chocolate for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh my God, my husband and I do this about once a week. We're like, what's your favorite chocolate bar? And it does change. Gosh, but for the rest of my life, that's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna just say, like, it's real simple, like dairy milk. I know that sounds really boring, but I love chocolate bars, like naughty chocolate bars, you know. Do you remember Boost? Do you remember when Boost did a guarana flavor?
Yes. With the
I mean,
like
they might even still do it. Like, and when I was younger, I used to have a method of eating almost any chocolate bar. So like the Twix got the full skin off and the peel of the toffee, and then the biscuit, and then the toffee. And Kit Kat was completely like layer by layer. But nowadays I just kind of shove it in. So I think probably something as simple. And I love dairy milk. Like if you ever go to America, the like regular chocolate in America, for example, is like so different. And we used to have family friends that came over from America every year, and they would take back almost a suitcase full of dairy milk, you know, and various other like Cadbury's chocolate, because even though it's, you know, to a sort of chocolate aficionado, it's probably pretty ropey. It's just so good. It's like just the right amount of sweetness. It's smooth, good texture, compared to like a Hershey's Kiss, for example, which is just basically like eating a candle that's chocolate flavored.
Yeah. Oh, so you're saying that the British is good and the American is not?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I thought you were saying that you like the American version better.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I love an American chocolate bar, like Ram, you know, but probably mostly because I can't get them here, and so it's a novelty. But like chocolate.
Yeah, it's very different here.
It's completely different. Like I'm talking like big brand chocolate. I'm not, you know, I'm sure there's some amazing chocolatiers out there who are doing like way better than Hershey's. But the stuff you can get from the supermarket out there is pretty pants.
Yeah.
And our dairy milks. Oof. And also a purple Yorkie. Remember the purple Yorkie with raisins and biscuit?
Oh, is that like a Fuse bar?
No, but the Fuse bar was, I remember when Fuse bars came out, and going back to me sort of deconstructing every single chocolate bar, I liked Fuse bars because they had all the things I wanted, but I hated them because I couldn't separate them in any way. And so that was just a non-starter for me.
Yeah, I wasn't a separator. I've been shoving them in since the beginning. I haven't stopped. But I love Fuse because it had all my favorite things.
Yeah, you can't get them anymore.
No, they only made them for about less than 10 years, I think.
Yeah.
But I was living in Australia at the time, and I came back to visit my grandmother and some other relatives, and yeah, like literally just put them all in my suitcase because I don't think, like, yeah, it was a big expandable like thing on bag on wheels. And my mum filled hers with wine gums, and I filled mine with Fuse bars and twirls and all because the Cadbury's taste much better here than it does in Australia as well. So
yeah, that's weird, isn't it?
Filled
I mean, I guess it's not when you think about it, but yeah, it was also weird.
Yeah, it's, yeah, even flake and twirl taste different because the milk in flake is Irish and it's from near Bourneville for the twirl. Random facts, like Smarties.
I never really got twirls.
Yeah, I preferred them to flakes.
Oh, interesting.
Too crumbly. If any of you have any more questions, feel free to put them in. I will just remind you that the next chocolate tasting, so those of you who came for the first time tonight, hopefully you'll come back in March. I will be joined by the lovely Martha Collison, who was on Great British Bake Off series 4, I think, but she was the
She also
youngest.
lives in Hove.
Yes, she does, doesn't she? Ah, that's lovely. We nearly moved to Hove.
Hey.
But anyway, yeah, so Martha is lovely, and it is on Sunday the 14th of March, which happens to be Mother's Day in the UK, but it's, yeah, going back to a weekend one, and that is the last one in the diary for the moment, but there will be at least another 2, hopefully more. I am considering, so I would love your feedback, considering moving, instead of having mixed boxes of all different chocolatiers, to have chocolates all from one chocolatier, and then I'll be joined by a guest plus the chocolatier to talk through them. And some of those chocolatiers will be British, but it would also give me the chance to potentially order in from somewhere in Europe, God forbid, or the US, and have them all sent to me en masse, and then I can send them out. So you'd be able to try chocolates from other places. So it might be add a little dimension of interest still. But yeah, so that's my thoughts. Please send me your feedback. I'm also launching a podcast next month as well. Very exciting. Yeah. And there'll be a lot of chocolate in that. It's going to be a really short weekly update on what I've been eating. Yeah. So it'll be mostly chocolate, but I don't know, some of you might have used to sign up for my previous newsletter, which shared the things, interesting things I tried in the previous week. I'm going to do it in podcast form now. But yeah, I suspect at least 3 of the 5 things I'll share will be chocolate. So yeah, it'll be on the blog too, but if you want to listen to me wax lyrical about them, you can. Does anyone have any more questions? Or would you like to go and watch Jemma on YouTube now?
Yes, go and subscribe.
Bake the cake. Bake the cakes. Yes, go and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining, everybody, and for staying past the hour. It's very sweet of you. Thank you, Jemma.
Thank you.
So fun talking to you.
Thanks so much for having me, and thanks everyone for all your questions and just for being. It's actually really nice to see so many people in front of me that I can't get actually physically near.
Yeah, it's always nice to see so many friendly faces.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming, everyone, for your first time or your 9th time. I know some of you have been here for all of them, and I'm very grateful. Yeah, any feedback, please send me an email or text or whatever, and share on social media and tag me and Jemma, and I will hopefully see you all in March. Woo! Lots of love, everyone. Thanks, Jemma.
Bye, everyone.